Kia ora whanau, welcome to F.T.P-Podcast. Today we've got an awesome guest on the show, and I'm looking forward to getting into some challenging topics. Kitty has no idea what I'm going to be asking her, so it's going to be rough, rugged and raw, just like I like it. All right, so Kitty, Dr. Kitty, could you please introduce yourself?
Kia ora, ko Kiri tukumagawa, mai whānau, ko Ngāti Porou tōku iwi. I grew up in two polarizing places, so Queenstown is my sort of where I grew up, hence a connection to sort of Dion, and I also had a very Māori upbringing of tiki, so kind of explored both areas. I live in Raglan, Whaingaroa. I am a chiropractor by trade, so that's where I received my doctorate. Looking to expand in different skills, mostly to understand about healing, and one passion for me is, te whara tapu whā, what does that actually look like from a sense of healing perspective, looking at everything, mostly to find out about my own healing, but also to help others through that journey. So that's a bit about me.
All right, well, welcome, Kitty. For me, you're a bit of a dynamo. You've got a really extensive CV, but also, man, you're busy. If it's one thing I can say about you, Kitty, is you are busy all the time. From surfing, holding space for women, doing like fitness classes, traveling all over the place. Recently got married, as well as practice, learning, like you're always on the go.
Yeah, that's very true.
Okay, so for the people at home, I just want you to, we'll start off with just how do you do that? How do you balance and juggle all of these things, like, you know, regulating your nervous system? Or give us something doctory for the people at home, and then we're going to just get into the raw stuff.
Yeah, cool. I've always been a high achiever, but I know a little bit, like, kind of, I suppose it's what you got to go into a bit more. But I believe, like, I was pretty much wired for survival. So my whole life, like, I would say I grew up I had a really great upbringing. My dad was away a lot when I grew up because he was in film business. Both my mum and dad were both in the film business down in Queenstown. Queenstown's a real, like, tricky place to grow up. I think especially a young wahine. Had some interesting things that had popped up, but that definitely gave me the drive. So of course, with your nervous system, you've got the two components: your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight and flight. So that's part of your central nervous system. So your brain, spinal cord, all your nerves, cells. So constantly messages going from your brain out through your nerves to all your cells, organs, tissues, and then messages coming back from your body, from your organs, cells, tissues back up to your brain. So constantly messages. So within that, your sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system. So sympathetic is what we have, like, for example, if a lion ran into the room right now and you're where you are, we need to get out of there. You need to get out. You're not just be like, oh, I'm just going to have a cup of tea and chill, You need that sympathetic drive to get out of those situations. Then you've got your parasympathetic, it's your rest and digest. So you'd had a nice feed, you're feeling relaxed, and, that's your calm state. But it's really hard to be motivated in that state as well. So I think there is a benefit to survival in the sense of, like, getting the drive, motivation, but it's having that drive and motivation, but in a relaxed state. So that's been an interesting journey for me. So of course you need the balance between your parasympathetic and your sympathetic. So kind of the opposite, because someone asked me, I was did a talk the other day, and they were like, oh, I thought sympathetic would be like, having sympathy for someone. I was like, it's quite the opposite, it's your drive. So you do need a balance between the two to have, harmony in the system, because, otherwise you're just going to be too much that way or too much that way. So it's been, massive learning, but I've sort of seen it, like, especially now at my age, I'm 35 this month, and I'm like, I want to have kids. And I always think about it this way as a woman. Like, it's like I'm birthing, like my businesses and the things that I do. It's like raising a child. It's like, oh, everyone always says for a woman, they say, just wait till you have kids, you'll realize how much time you have. I was like, oh, I know how much time I have, and I'm going to use that time how I need to, so I can create a life where I can provide. Because I think when you have had nothing, which has been me, I was in the States with no money. It's like, you're kind of like, you felt like displaced, like a refugee type thing. I was competing overseas for the pre-Olympic, or just getting my points to go to the Olympics. I ran out of money. Didn't tell my parents. They didn't even know about this. But I was like flashing with this guy as well, and he ended up getting the hots for me. And it was like, we used to share this bed. This is all I could afford. We'd have the bed and we'd put the pillows between. That was my rent, $50 a week for like sharing. And if he brought a girl home, I'd sleep on the couch. And then, that was my life. And I was like, this is not okay. Like I think I was 80th in the world for snowboarding, one of New Zealand's like top reps. So I was in the New Zealand youth team. And I was like, basically homeless. And I'd rely on like winnings of gear. And for women at the time, there would be less. You'd just get products that they don't want. Really get money, like the winners, unless you were like first place, and I think I came second or third. And it's one of those awkward things. But I had everything stolen, then I ended up hurting my knee. Then I was kind of like living at it's lucky I had a girl take me in. But really, when you have nothing and you're relying on people, you realize like you got to be self-sustaining. You can't live like this. Like either you rise above that. So this is how I am. It's like you either rise above it, you think outside the box, or you're just surviving. We end up on the street, because I was.
Yeah, wow.
There's lots to learn from that situation. But it gave me a big perspective, even with professional athlete type thing. Like I was like, this isn't for me. I could have gone to Olympics 2014, but I chose to study instead because I was like, what's this all about? I don't have the money to pay for this unless I get funding, which, unless you're in rugby. But you know what I mean? This is a real hard one because it's like I need my own sovereignty. I need to provide my own money, not rely on anyone else to be where I want to be. So that was partly why I have so much drive. Because when I've had nothing, I was like, don't want that. Don't want to be in that space again. Because it's not only is it not safe as a woman, because you've ended up in very rough situations. Well, I have, because I haven't had the money. And it's just like, man, you got to think outside the box. So yeah, that's my big drive.
And so what do you do these days to calm your fight or flight?
Mixture of things. So I pretty much think movements are non-negotiable. Like getting your body moving, getting outside. You might not feel like, I'm not talking like do a HIIT workout, because that can also do the opposite. I used to love that because it would be like, oh, feeding my dopamine. Dopamine's like your HIIT, like, oh, give me some of that. No, so like having a balance between, just simple exercise, movement, mindset's really important. Trying to see the positives in things. Sleep, if you can sleep. Sometimes I don't sleep, but it's just important even just to go to bed, try and get to bed. All the basic things. Most of us know what they are. And nutrition's massive. I've just finished my 10-day detox. Well, it was actually just under 2 weeks. It's like, hard. It's a mental game, but it's really good for your whole nervous system.
Have you noticed differences in the last sort of 5 days of that?
Yeah. A lot of clarity. I feel like, nutrition's really important, because if you're eating processed foods or sugars, you're just going to feel weighed down, boggy, and not like you're feeling like you want to do anything. So, good kai is really important. And, so it's balancing and just being easy on yourself, allowing rest. That's one thing I had to learn the hard way.
So you rest in between all the busy stuff. And
Yeah,
does it
rest.
feel like forced rest?
It did at the beginning, but no, not anymore. But I have to schedule. I have to schedule that in to
Right.
have rest, just chill. But I think the sleep thing's the best part. Like if you go, the best thing is that on my own, with your whole system, you've got to make that choice to go to bed on time or whatever. I've got a partner that works a stable job, I'm the one who's doing all these different things, and so he goes to bed same time, wakes up the same time, and I just stick with that. Go to bed early, wake up early.
Cool.
I think it's really important, and even just for relationship wise, like I think we've got a bit slack at that, but no, try and keep your phone out of the bedroom. This is for your sleeping. Have your alarm on like on a clock, so you're removing the device,
Yeah.
and then also making sure you have quality time with your partner, because so many people go, oh, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. It's like, well, you're too busy what? Playing a game or sitting on your phone? Like, come on.
Making reels, bro. No.
Yeah. No, but you schedule that in. Like, you schedule in the
Yeah.
time
Okay.
to do that. Like, if you got to have a strategy. You can't just be sitting there posting stuff, looking at, because social media is a trap. Like it's working on your dopamine addiction. It's a trap for all of us. It's like part of me wants to just go, like, start doing my reels. It's like, get outside, get off your phone. The thing
Yeah.
is, though, is that people sit on their phone, so it's a great tool, but it's
Yeah.
also terrible.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely realizing that with having like I've been told by my nan I have to do the social media stuff, and it's not my bag, but I'm finding a creativity in there,
Yeah,
and with it. So, Kitty, one of the
I like to think
reasons,
of it this way. Actually, thinking about social media, as you think about how much of the stuff that's going out there to people who are watching it that isn't good stuff, isn't truth, or for example, there are a lot of coaches or there's a lot of unsafety there. I think that there is a duty for those that have the experience and the knowledge to share that, as opposed to people, because people are seeking it. It's They're wanting to make a change, and unfortunately that is through social media now. So it's just meeting people where they're at, and if
yeah,
it's offering advice. That's how I see it. It's like, okay, well, either I step up into this or I just constantly fight it. And I love storytelling. Like, I love visual storytelling. I used to be a video editor, and that's what I did my internship in. So I worked in a few different places, but that's
your
kind of how
videos are definitely choice. I
it's.
enjoy watching them. It's like being taken on a little journey.
Yeah,
I'm
and it's
still
something
learning
I
that part.
enjoy. But the thing that I struggle with as well is that it was a lot around I didn't want to be seen. I don't even know if it was that, but I struggle with labels. Like, if someone goes, "Oh, are you a photographer?" I'm like, "What?" Like, I'm a photographer, right? I'm a videographer. I have all these hats. But the thing is, as soon as someone wanted to label me, I was like, "What?" So I struggle with that. But I could have been way more successful if I allowed people to label me. But I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not a label.
What about doctor?
I mean, yeah, because I bloody worked hard for that. It cost me a bomb to get that title.
Yeah, but also the amount of study you have to put in for it. I can only imagine.
I was like, yeah, that was hard yakka. Seven
Yeah.
year degree in five. So we do 10 papers a semester. We have less of a break. Pretty much forget from 24 to about 24 through to about 29. I was like deep in it.
Yeah. Wow. I really like telling people I'm friends with Dr. Kitty. Makes me feel important. It does. I love it.
I struggle
Um,
with the Dr. Kitty part because, of course, being a chiropractor, that's my main title. However, I'm looking at to do, because obviously people want to put you in a bracket,
yeah, like a
put you in a
GP.
box. And I do struggle with this whole box thing. Like, hey, you're this person. I'm like,
Yeah.
nah, I'm all these things. And definitely, I'm like, I'm not just a chiropractor, and that's where I want to like once I get a bit more money, I would like to do my clinical nutrition, because I've done my nutrition, but that's something I'm really passionate about as well, because it kind of brings everything together.
Yeah.
So because I think effectively it's working along to figure out, okay, where to point people in the right direction for what's happening in their system. I love that. I'm like a networker. That's what lights me up. If I'm like, oh, hey, I know someone who's really good at that. Go and see them for this. I love that. Putting people together. That's what everyone's always said. Oh, you're such a good networker.
Yeah.
But it's having the understanding of what's safe. And yeah.
So safety's been a big part of our kōrero a lot, often. So just for the people at home, I didn't meet Kiri in Queenstown. I met Kiri in Rotorua. However, when I met Kiri, she came onto level 1 Honohono Wānanga, and I remember Kiri before I met Kiri because of the messages backwards and forwards. And I'm not going to lie, I'm really useless, really slack at replying to people, and you are really persistent on getting certain answers before making your decision to come. And getting to know you at the wānanga and afterwards, I've realised for you it's all around safety. So what made you choose to come on Honohono Wānanga, and I guess, yeah, how safe did you feel in that space and with this medicine?
Yep. Well, I'd heard about you through, it was quite funny. Well, Debbie, it was my mum that kind of brought it up, because over the years I'd constantly kind of had messages or signs to do Māori healing, but I was like, well, whose uncles taught you this, you know? And I was always funny about this Māori healing part of it, because I was like, how do I know that you're legit? And I had a bad experience with a Romi practitioner where he basically cracked my whole spine. I was like, bro, what was that about? You know? He's like, oh, I'm releasing the energy. I said, bro, that wasn't releasing the energy. That was your ego. That was just because you could crack my spine. I feel like shit. I said, thanks. Like, you know, where was that conversation to give me, like, I didn't give informed consent for getting my spine cracked. And I've just seen certain things of, just sometimes stepping over the line. So I was really cautious, because I was like, well, the big one, we did a lot of philosophy, is just because it's tradition doesn't mean it's true and truth. And I did find, and I do struggle with that within Māori healing, because I'm like, I'm Māori, I'm a healer, therefore I'm a Māori healer. You know, I could go out there and start doing my own course. But yeah, like, do I have the right to? Probably yes. At the same time, I don't know. And it's been really interesting to see those that are walking that path and going, I'm like, you bro, you're not safe. That's not okay. So yeah, I was real like, yo, who are you? Sussing you out.
Yeah,
Making
felt like
sure.
that.
Yeah, it was like, and then because I know that you knew some of my family, and that you were also from Waipiro Bay, which is around, could be Ngātipiro as well, in Tiki Tiki, then I was like, oh, yeah, okay, we'll just feel into it. And it was level 1 or 2, so it wasn't that scary. I was like, okay, that's all right, we'll check in on that. So yeah, came along and it was all good. And I pretty much, when you asked, like, opened the room, I was like, yeah, I was sus as with you. Like, I was like, who are you? But I was like, I felt safe in the sense of you knew what you were talking about. You were very clear with your structures around like safety, even like energetic safety. I think that there's a lot of stuff going on in the healing space right now that's like very questionable. And I believe that I guess I'm a little bit biased because I came from a very educated background, but I feel like there's a duty for me to kind of create some safety element, because I have heard, and I've heard of clients that have been to, say, I'm not just talking Māori healers, other, professions,
Abilities.
and they've had really bad experiences in the sense of like they were going to someone for like, say, romi, and then they get their neck cracked. It's like, what? Where did that come from? Who's taught them that? Where is that safe? And like where you stay in your scope. There's something that I want to look into, creating some safety protocols in that space of Māori healing so that stuff doesn't happen, because, we do a 7-year degree in 5, and before we can even touch someone, it's 3 years of anatomy, physiology, understanding contraindications. It's full safety, and I won't even touch anyone until I know, especially if I do any manual adjustments. I want to make sure that we've looked at the background. I mean, you get horror stories even within my profession, but at least that there are great practitioners and then there's not. But then it's also that whole scope thing, right? Being in your scope. It's like I do coaching. I'm not going to try and be a therapist. I'm going to be a coach. I'm future focused. I'm going to stay in my lane. As soon as we start dropping into that, hey, look, let's bring it back. Where are you moving? What's happening in your system? How could you look at creating tools to create your goals? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been an interesting one. But yeah, I got carried away. Sorry, because it's been big passion for me. But 100%, I felt safe in your in the course and supported. And yeah, you pretty much answered my questions I'm always straight up. So yeah, you're like, whoa. So yeah, it was good. And I could tell that you weren't kind of getting led by your ego either. Which I see, unfortunately, a lot of men get caught in the ego. The ego's a good thing. We need ego, but when that becomes your standpoint, like testosterone ego, kind of that's a lot.
Yeah. And so, Kiri, you've also had sessions in so I guess where I'm leading to, just so you have an awareness of what's sort of coming, and I'm sure you can feel it, around the reason safety is so important for you. But I just want to backtrack a little bit, because you came to level 1 and then ended up meeting you for an exchange in Raglan. And you got a hono session, and that was a biggie, eh?
Yeah, it's big. Yeah.
And so, I mean, on the cool side of that for me, also your partner, after you had a session, your partner came up and got a session as well. Sorry, your husband. I'm really liking these titles today. Yeah. So do you want to talk us through what came up in that session? Because it was, I had no idea, until working on you and sort of brought it up. So do you want to walk the people through your session and I guess why safety is such a big factor for you?
Yeah. It's so funny because it's such a blur, that first session. But yeah, I was a victim of multiple events. So growing up in Queenstown, again, I was talking about how that was always interesting. I mean, I worked at KFC when I was 7, and even I got a sexual comment there, just random. I feel I worked at KFC. I was totally illegal, but it was my mate. It was cool. It gave me something to do. I was always a girl that started working young. Gave me something to do. I worked at KFC when I was 10, and but yeah, there was a guy there that had made a sexual comment, and I'm barely overlooking over the thing. But when I was 7, I was stalked, and I knew what I think I've always been in tune with energy, so I just felt something was off with this dude, and I spotted him, and I was like, yo, what the hell? So I walk around and O'Connell's Mall at the top, and I did a 2-loop to make sure, oh yeah, he's still following me. Yeah, okay, well, keep walking. Then I walk up this towards the gondola. Yeah, he's still walking towards me, and I turn around and I was like, you're a effing, I pigtails, cute little, 7-year-old. You're an effing pedophile! What are you, screaming. No one did anything. And it also taught me, no one wants to get involved, which is really sad. I didn't tell my parents, which is also another thing. I don't know what that was about, but I went home and I was just no one fucks with me kind of thing. So at 7, stalked, then there was like a couple of times where I was swimming and there was a couple of guys wanking on the beach when I came in. I'd been exposed to like, in the chat room, because we used to kind of hang out at the computer lounge. There'd be guys watching porn and bestiality. So you see that, and then you're like, I kind of fell into friends with a couple of older guys, and they were like, I don't know, some weird stuff went on there, and then I was just like, this place is messed up. Like there was such an interesting energy there for kids growing up there because of the drugs and stuff. You were exposed to a lot, and but yeah, the biggest one was getting taken advantage of by two guys my senior in my elementary school. So effectively sexual assault. And now I thought that was pretty normal because within my friends, there was quite a few of us girls who were like that, who had been taken, sexually assaulted. Like, I'm not talking like, full thing, but, two dudes, they were like, come up to the spa, then had a cop to feel, had a poke. And then that also meant, because they were older than me, there was a whole thing where this is how messed up it is. I don't know. I just thought this was normal, but they told their mates about it, and then it spread around. Oh, they poked the wrong hole, and blah blah blah. Oh, and then it came back that I'm a slut, and then so I become the slut. Then it gives every man the right to touch me in an inappropriate way. So already, you can see I was just like, ready to fight, and I've had to fight a lot growing up. So I was like, don't touch me, And I think that's it's an interesting one because through that time I've had to fight, but I also, because you're always aware of it, I feel like in a way it invites stuff like that to happen. Like when you're stuck in that state. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people with trauma, is they have a sort of repetitive cycle in a sense, because they feel like it's safe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So complex
It's quite a
events.
shit thing to hear, to be honest, to know that it's like that, and also really shit that you've been through so much of that, Kitty. Like, just on behalf of men, especially the men who aren't like that, deepest sincerities, man. That's
But it's gave
absolutely
me a
that.
passion to want to give back to help women speak about it, because I didn't even knew that was not normal, and like a lot of these, none of these things were reported. Like I'm talking multiple events, they were not reported. And the big one was my friend who took advantage of me, and he wasn't reported either, because I spoke to a good friend about it. I was like, yo, this happened. And he's like, oh, I don't believe you. And I was like, well, what's the point? And back then as well, if you brought it up that you said, oh, I went home with a friend, we were, kind of drinking, everything was all good up until that point, and I was like, nah, don't want that. He still went away with it, and if you took that to the cops, I'd say, oh yeah, well, you probably should have gone with her. Like, what? If no means no, that's what it means. Like, don't be pushing on that. So it's a really interesting one, because it's changed a lot from what it was. And sometimes you get the over extreme, because there's now like, and unfortunately there have been some women who have told stories that may be fibs, and that really does take away from those. And some of them are real, but there's some women that are, there's a attention seeking part of it too, because there are some stories that have been proven, not guilty. It's like a revenge. So yeah, it does take away the power from the women that have experienced that. But yeah, it gives me so much. I can talk about it now and be fine with it. But it's just like, you kind of, in a way, if you've experienced that, and that's why you see a lot of people that kind of stuck in this cycle. I had to learn a lot to know that I love myself, and that I could be okay with, what's happened. And so it took me probably like till, I would say, my 30s I started really looking at it, and it was until 34, well, last year, that's when I went and got sensitive claims, but that's like years later. But it's really interesting to sort of note, just the cycles that happen. And I'm really interested to learn about it, but not to the point of being a therapist, because I'm not interested necessarily in going backwards, because I'm like, no, we're moving forward. We're getting shit done, because I'm really good at that. And
Yeah.
I really and I love that, but it's having a fine line, because it's chasing the dopamine too, because you got to be, and then that's why we see a lot of people who have experienced trauma that will start to look at drugs, alcohol, or they'll look for opiates because
Yeah.
they don't want to feel.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah.
with your, I guess, with your sessions, and like we've had a couple since, have you found that Hono Hono has helped any way with that side of stuff?
It's given me a deep level of awareness. I think that was one. I think we worked a lot around, that was actually probably like sexual abuse, yeah, but the biggest one actually was when I was strangled to death, and that was when I almost pretty much died, but my mate got me out of that situation.
Mm.
That was, I remember that was the big one, because I still like, because that still was like my voice. I feel like I still struggle to really, so we worked on that a bit in
Mm.
speaking. Because yeah, that was bigger than the other stuff. Like I can move from that other stuff.
Yeah.
Like yes, and it's quite funny because I was like, I let people like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just like, look, we're moving on from that. Like, it's just it's a tricky one, because yeah, people go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm like, yeah, there's multiple things that have happened to me. However, I don't see that as it's not burdening me. I'm not letting it burden me.
Yeah.
It's just a part of who I am. And unfortunately, I had to be stronger a lot younger, when I
Yeah.
really would have loved to have just been okay, like just had fun as a girl,
Yeah.
instead of just being like always like on guard.
Do you feel like you're making up for that now? Because most of the time I see you, you're having fun.
Yeah, I am making up for that now for sure. I mean, that's the thing. I'm trying to, for me, I'm creating a life where things are a little bit more in flow and that align with me, which has proven harder for the bank account, because you have to make sacrifice, you have to take risks.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some of those risks, when it comes to that, it doesn't always work. Like if you're thinking outside the box, yeah, I could go get a 9 to 5 job, but I'm just like, I'll be bored. So, yeah, I'm trying to
And
take a different step. Yeah.
And so, for any of our people watching or listeners out there that have been through similar stuff, you're kind of talking us through how you've uh, dealt with it and moved through it. What would be some sort of advice from number one, from the little girl in you, and number two, from Dr. Kitty? What's some advice for any women who have either been through that stuff or are currently going through it, or how you were saying, like, because you've been through it, you kind of attract that attention sometimes.
Hmm.
Do you have any advice for people at home?
My advice would be to talk about it and to feel safe to report it. Like if it is, I think the biggest regret that I have is not actually reporting it, because of the fear of what I might receive when that happens. But things have changed a lot since, early 2000s. I
Yeah.
think definitely reporting it, because people need to be held accountable for their actions,
Mm.
so that that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, those boys, yeah, they did do other things, um, and that, that protects others from that happening. The other thing would be, well, lucky in New Zealand, they do have the sensitive claims. So if you speak to a doctor and say, look, I've been sexually assaulted, or this has happened, and you report it to the doctors, they will appoint you to like a therapist. The only thing is with therapy is that I would say it took me a long time to be ready for that, because I was like, even still, like she's like, how does your body feel? I'm like, oh, yuck. No, that's not. It's sort of like I didn't want to. The busyness sometimes is also one of those things where you don't want to feel. So I'm very
Mm.
mindful of like, okay, how much am I doing, and how much of this is actually for me, or is it just to be busy? Yeah. So it's being acknowledging, yeah, okay, well, I can take it slow. It is important to get someone to be in your circle, I do have concerns around some counsellors because depending on the counsellor, they can project their own thoughts and opinions. Like a good therapist will ask the right questions and give you tools to help you through things. But when they can't, everyone has their own things. But when you're moving through trauma, you don't want their projection onto you.
Yeah.
So, go to someone that is ideally, depending on the trauma and how you're feeling, find someone that, one is trustworthy, and and you can always ask, like you get appointed someone through ACC, but you can always ask for someone, or you might have someone you in mind and they do ACC as well. Yeah, that would be.
I've done a few cases on with the Royal High Commission, sensitive claims, but most of those have been historic cases, and I've also worked with women who have, like, I guess, ultimately recently gone through that, and it's a hard one as a man to work on wahine who have been through that, and like I just want to take my hat off to you for, number one, coming to that workshop with a male teacher, but also then having treatments with males as well. So, because it's, I mean, like, I guess other medicines, it can be quite confronting physically, but hono is like that, those real vulnerable emotions.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, one thing that came up was, man, it was along the lines of your homework was that you needed to express this to your parents because your voice was so clogged up.
Yeah.
And I got the message the next day, talked to my parents, had a good yarn, my husband's on the way up, like, to get his session. It was just really, I've come to expect random with you, Kitty. It seems to be how you roll. But that must take quite a bit of bravery, and like, no wonder the sussing out, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think your bravery and just how you are there for other women, but also that you have good friendships with males, and it doesn't really affect that, is a massive thing to overcome. With some of the other wahine I've worked with, they haven't really been able to come outside of themselves because of that trauma.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to just get into some of the lighter stuff, and some of, like, I'm going to say it's like a shit sandwich. We've put the shit part in the middle. I want to hear about what you're up to, where you're heading, and just to give some of the people at home, I guess, a bit of inspiration, because you're a bit of an inspiration station. Like, I've found you to be bubbling with ideas, opportunities, and passion. So, what have you got on the go? We're going to chuck all your deets in the link below. But yeah, what are you doing with life now, Kitty? What are you smashing?
I am. I love the switch sandwich. So true. Right? It's like I do struggle with the story part because I'm like, I'm not a victim. I always like sharing my story. That was the biggest thing. Is kind of like getting the, oh, poor you. It's like, oh, gosh, come on, mate, move on. Like, I've got a bit of that harden up mentality as well. Like, I think that the good thing to sit in it, but also and to feel it. Like, it's really important to understand also, as you do with your work, is to feel into it, feel what's happening in your body, but moving on from it, not sit in it too long, sitting in the muck. Otherwise you drown. So I think that's awesome. Where I'm moving to now, I got married. Last year we bought a house, so it's like, of course, the financial burden is sitting there. So, and my partner's father passed away not long after the wedding, so it was like wedding, funeral, and then like hustle, like a feeling like a bit of hustle, bit of squirrel energy, but that's all kind of coming together. I picked up some work in Rotorua at Whanau's Chiropractic. I'm working there a few days a week, Thursdays and Fridays, doing network spinal. It's actually, that'll be bomb diggity with the hono hono. It's all working on, so think chiropractic, still chiropractic, which is your helping with your nervous system, but it's like I'm barely touching. So I'm looking at the spinal gateways. You've got the sacrum, which is that triangle bone at the bottom of your spine, and then the top of your spine, like right at the top here, is your occiput and neck. You've got what you call energy gateways. You've probably seen online, there's all like these offshoots of it, like spinal flow, spinal energetics, spinal attunement. And now with the thing with energy is you want energy to work in an efficient way. So it's like an entrainment. So we're working in the system, not out the system. Like you can have big cathartic releases, but ideally we want you to notice what you're feeling in your body. So it's really beautiful. So I'm learning kind of I know the technique, but I'm building on that. And so it helps to unwind spinal cord tension. So you can be calmer, and like I've experienced it because I used to love manual chiropractic, which is like the big crack, crack, crack. And we don't do any of that in this work. But since I experienced it, and as a person that's like, go, 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 it's like, oh, this is beautiful because it's helping me to connect with my body and to feel into it. Like if you have and contact that, say I would do on the spine, you would have like a release, and you know how to breathe and move. So if you couple that with, say, hono hono, that would be awesome. I mean, at the moment I'm doing the hono hono chiropractic adjustment, but it's even more because it's energy. It's even more like powerful. So it's pretty cool. Really loving that. But ideally, where I'm wanting to go is to do more education type things. So I've got a public speaking workshop that I'm doing to help me with sharing my story. I've done a few public speaking events and conferences, but I'd like to just master the craft, speaking about your nervous system and kind of about the sympathetic stress, so survival, and how trauma doesn't have to be seen as this bad thing. Like also it can be part of who you are becoming, and how to balance that. It's like it's your superpower sometimes. So that would be awesome. And looking at eventually putting together my own non-for-profit. That's the ultimate goal. But the thing is that I never wanted to rely on the government for that a little bit. So that's why I've set up my own e-commerce business so that I can eventually fund some of that money from the e-commerce business, which is Wild Coast Collective, to put into the charity, so give back. Okay. So it's like making money is a way for me to give back, because that's really what I want to do, but the higher thing.
Yeah, we're in the same alignment with all of that, on very different ways. Tell us about Wild Coast Collective.
Yep, it was set up. Wild Coast Collective was set up. I bought the company. It was a yoga mat company called Wild Coast Yoga. It was from two local girls here. It's had a lot of transformation since I've bought it. Obviously, a bit different being Māori. Just like looking at some of it, being like, that's definitely not me. So it's had a full rebrand, and now it's almost having another refocus because I'm bringing out some zero waste activewear. What I mean by zero waste is like not wasting the fabric, because you get a lot of, sometimes when they cut a pattern to sew, they'll have a lot of wastage. So it's going to be really cool. So it's like athleisure, so you can kind of use it for working out and surfing it. I'm kind of thinking, like, as I've had this gone into home ownership and stuff and traveling, and actually before I went to home ownership, I moved 6 times in 4 years. So I just like having less stuff is better. So things that you can use in multiple things. But the whole idea of that was just because I keep listening to the same story, like, oh, my lower back's really sore. Oh, I've got sciatica. Oh, I'm tired. Like, blah, 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 as a chiropractor. And I was like, well, what are you doing? Like, what do you do for fun? Oh, I come home, have a beer, sit down. I said, okay, well, you need to move your butt. Like, there's just no ways around it. Like, you're not going to sit down and just expect me to fix you. I said, nah. I said, I can help your body express itself in a more efficient way by removing any interference in your spine. Your body can self-heal, self-regulate. But you need to look at your life and go, what am I doing outside of this?
Yeah, it's a big thing, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, we need to get more people moving. And yeah, it's my big inspiration. And that's where I want to come in with the support from Māori, because as I said, I grew up in two different worlds. I grew up in Queenstown, very privileged with my education around food, nutrition, and my parents. Whereas I went to the marae and I was like, kids are drinking coffee, 2 sugars, and like, smashing a pop, and like, there's like food I would never eat. And I was like, what is this? And I saw that and I was like, this needs to change.
Often it's what they can afford, eh?
But it's not even that. Like, it's education around. So I want to help with, like growing your own kai. Going back to what is hauora, like, what is it for your whānau, like for your marae? How can you set up something that works for you and your community that's going to mean that you've got food on the table? You're healthy kai, you can grow a garden, you can there's people there that already probably grow stuff,
Well, there's no excuses with you, eh, Kitty?
Nah, no
I
excuses.
like it. Yeah.
Like, it's a thing, it's a victim mentality. Like, you look at how much, if I think about my life and all the trauma, I mean, everyone's got trauma, right? Everyone has their own thing, and I don't believe like, oh, I've got more trauma than you or whatever. None of that's true, because trauma for someone could be not being picked up from school, and that might be massive. So this is the thing with trauma. It's like, everyone's got trauma.
Yeah.
And it's how we move forward, like how we go about moving forward in the world. Like, I mean, I haven't got the money at the moment. I'm just paying my mortgage. My mortgage is $850 a week. We're splitting that, me and my partner. That's massive. And then you think about kai. I was like, okay, well, I could go to a supermarket locally here and spend whatever, like $100 for like probably nothing. Or I'll like look online for some organic veggie boxes that I can get delivered. It'll probably be half the price. And yeah, it is. It's like a full box. $40, 45 organic veggies get delivered to the door. Oh, me. Yeah, cool. So I can work out, okay, what can I do? Or go to the local farmers market. There's certain ways that you can go around it to make it happen, and just and I'm just selling stuff, because I'm like, I don't have enough money, then I've got to sell some stuff. It's all good. It's just stuff. What can I sell?
Yoga mat.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. And things are picking up, and I feel like everything happens for a reason. And when things are happening, well, especially when it comes to like me and the lack of finances, it's like, it's only temporary. Money comes, money goes, and it's all for the betterment. Like, for me, it's like a letting go. Like, because I've had to let go of a few things to grow into who I am. And it's just, a lot has happened, and I'm okay with it. It's like, I know I'm going to be fine. It's just, it makes you refocus and really evaluate your life to go, okay, well, what is it that I can let go of? I always say it like that. There's always a learning in whatever. Was it called learning in the suffering?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's where the deepest learnings often happen. So, well, I guess, so Free the People is the name of the podcast, or that's what the letters stand for. So you've given us quite a few little ways for the people to free themselves. You've given us the physical, you've given us, the movement, you've given us kai. How do you free your mind as a last one? What do you do to free your mind?
For me, I will get in the ocean. Really helpful.
Nice little pan up to you in the ocean behind you.
Yeah, it's quite funny because everyone's like, "Is that you?" And I'm like, "Nah," but it could be me.
Wow, it looks like you.
A lot of people said that's me, but it was actually my friend's. She had a gallery. It was cheap, but I was like, I'll take it. But it could be anyone. It wasn't me. So
Yeah,
cool. It's beautiful. The
yeah.
moon. She's walking towards the moon. But yeah, it's beautiful. So getting in the ocean is really important for me.
Yeah.
Just
What about for the people who don't have ocean near them? People that live
yeah,
inland?
getting in the mountain. Well, I just get outside. Like, I mean, I'm not by the water always. Like I don't, and also when I get really busy, I don't even get the time. But the time that I do have is make sure I get up and do, like, even just have a walk, have a cup of tea in the sunlight, have a nice drink in the sunlight, take some time to do, if it's just even 3 minutes, closing the eyes down and breathing, focusing on your breath. Like I wouldn't say I'm an avid meditator, but I don't call it meditation. I just
Yeah,
close my eyes down and not think about much because then that takes the pressure off me.
yeah.
And that's what I like to say to people, just go outside, close your eyes, and try not to think about anything for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because then you're
All right.
removing that whole thing of meditation.
Yeah. Sometimes that word's a barrier for some people.
Yeah.
Um,
It becomes too hard. It's like another thing to do. Whereas it's
yeah,
like take the pressure off and just like shuffle even towards the sunlight in the morning and just go, yeah,
awesome.
that's good. Good
I've been
enough,
doing that. I've been doing that in the mornings.
Nice.
My routine: do the breath work, do the rites, and then I'm quite fortunate where I live. Literally open up the doors, and the sun just hits you straight there. As long as it's not cloudy.
Yeah.
All right, Kitty. So we're gonna wrap it up. Give us an inspirational quote to sign
Oh,
off on.
I've got one. Wait, I put it on my diary.
We both just gapped it, left the building.
Huh? What? Oh, I
I
didn't.
was going to get some water.
Oh, I was actually going to give you the quote, and then I left the diary in the car, so I'm going to give you one that I know has been really good. I should have been prepared for this one. Um,
You probably
oh,
didn't know any of these questions were coming, really.
oh yeah. So this is actually one from my talk. To have faith is to surrender. When you swim, you don't clutch the water. If you do, you'll sink. Instead, oh, sorry. Uh, where are we? Yeah. Instead you relax and float. So I'll say that again. To have faith is to surrender. When you swim, you don't clutch the water. If you do, you'll sink. Instead, you relax and float. So trust yourself, live in the present, find gratitude in the smallest things.
Awesome.
Whaia te kahurangi ki te tohua koe, tu oho koe, me he maunga teitei. So seek the treasure you value the most dearly and don't give up. Reach high. Life is for
Beautiful.
living and turn those lemons into lemonades.
Yeah. Awesome, Kitty. Well, I just want to thank you. You're a true testament to Wahine Toa, which for those at home, female warrior, in in all the ways. I love it that you're out there kicking ass. You're out there inspiring people. Also, you've got a podcast, so just give us the. Do you have a title for it?
It'll be called the Dr. Kiri podcast. It's still on
Oh
its
yes.
way. I decided for my nervous system that I would release, do a launch, and then have a backup of different, have all of them prepared. So I'm not
Yeah.
like,
Not like
oh, I've
me,
got to do another
just smash
podcast.
them.
Yeah, smash them out. Oh, I've got to do one podcast a week, and then you're like, ah.
Yeah, I
But it's
think I'm
also
the opposite. I've been planning for so many years in my head that I had, as soon as I knew this platform was available and I didn't have to spend hours editing, I was like, yep, bye.
yeah,
Yep,
no,
want to be on it, want to be on it. So I'm really grateful for your time and just your energy, what you bring to the world. You're a fucking champ.
no,
Big
thanks.
love.
I feel like I bloody trauma dumped you today. And I'm like, oh, ew. Like it's
No,
always
no,
one
no.
interesting one talking about it because it can be triggering for some people. And I'm like, how much of it do you share? Like,
Yeah,
there's different points of like, I mean, I just want to acknowledge wahine and male that where they're at with their healing, because there are some people that are really stuck in it, and that's okay. It's just like honor you where you're at, and there's just times where you will move forward, but there's a lot of times where it's shit, and that's okay. So I feel like as a learning, we every day we're learning, every day we're growing, and it's about being true to yourself and true to your word. And like we said earlier today, it was like perception, being able to listen to other people's views or perceptions as well. And I'm going to stick with that.
Lovely little bit of wisdom there. Thank you very much for coming on. And for those at home, hit the like, share, follow, and we'll see you again soon. Kia ora.